Peace. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Cultural Accountability. We're gonna get into some things tonight. This is just a pilot episode. We tested some things out already. We have some things to work on, but that's neither here nor there. We're gonna wait for some people to get in and dive into some things. One thing in particular. Got Big Bro in the background gonna come help me out tonight. My plug-in is not working, so y'all gotta work with me. I might be doing it with my my own voice. We got a couple people in already. What's up, Miss Cargill, Miss Lopez, Miss Rose, Concrete Rose in the building. Good evening, Miss Lopez. How you doing? I'm here, Concrete Rose. We was working on some things. Oh, and don't get used to the comments being up. That's something that we're not gonna do in the future. It's good for the night, but in the future, we're not going to do the comments on the screen and all that because I want you guys to call in. You know what I mean? I want you guys to call in. I want you guys to be a little more interactive. You know what I mean? Miss Askew, is that how you pronounce your name, Miss Askew? Adaris? Miss Adaris Askew, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Any Errol Spence fans in here? Any of y'all Errol Spence fans? Did y'all pick him on the fight? Big exclusive. What's going on, bro? How you doing? How you doing? I like the idea of calling it. Thank you, Miss Lopez. Yeah, I mean, most people that watch boxing had Bud, but I'm a Errol Spence. Let me rephrase that. I like Errol Spence more than I like Bud from a fan standpoint, but not for 1 second did I think Errol Spence was going to win that fight. Hannibal, what's up, Booty Bandit? What's up, good brother? Long time no speak. Turn some of this reverb off. So yeah, man. Y'all familiar with Charleston White? Any of y'all familiar with Charleston White? Self-proclaimed snitch. Calls the cops on everybody. Miss Cargill, you familiar with the what is called Errol Spence and Dallas situation? Is this news to everybody what we're gonna be diving into? My man Hannibal, nice to see you, bro. Nice to see you still, you know what I mean? Moving and kicking alive. Charleston White is a wild bull. And to be honest with you, I think personally he may have went too far this time. But we're gonna dive into some things tonight because like I said, this is cultural accountability, and we're here to hold the culture accountable. Because some things got to change, man. Some things got to change. So a lot of stuff, even though some people might look at it as gossip, a lot of it is going to be used as teaching points. You know what I mean? So we can share some perspectives and undo some things with the culture, hold the culture accountable. I'm mad my plugins ain't working. I had some things for y'all tonight, but we're gonna get it popping. What we looking like? Cultural accountability is about no more sweeping things under the rug. You know what I mean? Like things go on out here in our neighborhoods, in our in our society, in our culture, period. And we sit and mind our business. It's time to stop minding our business within the culture. No other culture does it. You dig what I'm saying? Even the whole no snitch policy, even the whole no snitch thing, like that's not even originally how it was. It's no snitching to the police. But you run and tell the elders within the culture because who's going to hold that person accountable? You dig what I'm saying? We don't want to put nobody up under the jail or anything like that, but some cultures still hold tight to that. Like, for an example, the Amish people. I can't remember the exact situation, but a situation happened. I think it was right out Lancaster, right here in Pennsylvania. A situation happened where the Amish got in trouble, and when they went to court, nobody spoke. Nobody spoke. So the person couldn't be found guilty. Oh, but when they got back amongst their peers, that particular person was shunned. You guys know what shun mean, right? I like Charleston White. I mean, he might not be going about things the right way, but he's trying to make a change. Who's to say it's not the right way? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think anybody thinks they're wrong when they're doing said things or saying said things. I don't think anybody thinks they're wrong. We're gonna open up the phone lines in a little bit, but first we're gonna dive into the topic. We're gonna dive into the topic first. Before I bring on Big Exclusive to converse with me about this, I'm gonna tell y'all what what's the alleged story here. So how many of y'all seen the fight? Y'all seen the fight with Terrence Crawford and Bud? Did y'all see the fight? There is a time and a place for everything, Miss Concrete Rose, but sometimes you gotta shake things up where it's not used to being shooken up. You know what I mean? Because we gotta start getting attention of people we're not used to getting attention of. So I mean I respect Charleston White to an extent. And some of the things I can't agree with me, but I feel like he has the same. We're trying to get to the same destination. I feel like we're definitely trying to get to the same destination. So yeah, once again, how many of y'all seen the fight? Seen Errol Spence get beat bad? I'm sorry. We're supposed to be keeping it real tonight, right? We're supposed to be holding it down for the culture. How many of y'all seen Errol Spence get the brakes beat off that nigga? Did y'all see that? How many of y'all seen that? I don't know what's going on over here. So Errol Spence lost the fight. You was working, you missed it. It's all good, Miss Concrete Rose. So Errol Spence got beat. I don't think anybody thought he was going to lose in that fashion. I know I didn't. I had him losing, but I didn't have him losing in that fashion. It was like he couldn't do anything. A lot of people said he looked high when he came out. I didn't think he looked high, but I watch him fight. Like his eyes always look like that. Really didn't believe that he could win that fight. Um, so a couple of days afterwards, Mr. Charleston White goes on live to tell some Dallas street business. Um, all of this is alleged. I'm in Philadelphia, so I can't confirm none of this. But during the time that I did in the streets, it sounds about right. Sounds about right. So allegedly, when Errol Spence got into that car accident, he was being chased by a local Dallas rapper named Mo3. Those of you that have seen the video, if you watch after he wrecks out in his Ferrari, you see a gray car casually just ride by. Okay? Remember that gray car because we're gonna come back to that. Charleston White is entertaining, although I feel he might say too much sometimes. Oh yes, he said a lot with this. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't come for Charleston White after putting this Dallas business out there. So Mo3 was a little bully in the Dallas area. And I mean that literally. To my knowledge, he was about every bit of five, maybe 5'4". You know what I mean? Short, chunky guy. But to my knowledge, he was a bully and had guys scared of him. Rappers, uh, gangsters, and apparently Errol Spence. Now, during Mo3's come up, during Mo3's come up, he was dealing with this female. And you know how it is when you a hood dude with no credit and you get a good shorty with some credit. You know what I mean? She allowed him to use his name to get a spot in this upscale apartment complex. It just so happened that Errol Spence lived in that upscale apartment complex also. Now the connection between Errol Spence and Mo3 is this. Mo3's manager is Errol Spence's cousin, allegedly. Mo3's manager, his mother and Errol Spence's mother are best friends or sisters, one or the other. You know how best friends say they're cousins. It's one of those type deals. Okay. Now, the manager, whose name I believe is Rainwater, the manager said to Mo3, chill, fall back off of him. He's not a street guy. He's not this. He's not that. You know how it go. Now, Mo3 had this car, a gray Honda that he laid low in. You dig what I'm saying? You know how you gotta have that little squatter that nobody know you got, and supposedly being as though he had everyone scared to come outside. I don't know if you ever heard the song. He has a song called "Outside," and he literally was taunting the guys that he had scared to come outside. And allegedly, Errol Spence was one of these people. So Errol Spence was giving the drop on people. I mean, giving the drop to people on the car that Mo3 was riding around in. Mo3 at a taco joint follow Errol Spence. Errol Spence was running for his life. He crashes out, wrecks out in the Ferrari. Then it said that Errol Spence put $100,000 on the head of Mo3. Now Mo3 is beefing with other rappers and all that. I mean, if you dive deeper into it, that's cool. But we're talking about Errol Spence and Mo3. So now Mo3 gets chased down and killed on the highway. I think it's I-35, I believe. And allegedly, the two guys that's locked up for the murder were paid 20 grand apiece. The girl that was with Mo3 the night before, he stayed the night at her house. She was paid 20 grand. And the manager slash best friend of Errol Spence was paid 40 grand. Allegedly, Errol Spence is under investigation for orchestrating the murder of Mo3. Now, this is the rumor going around in Dallas. If you have been in the streets here in Philadelphia and know stuff like this happens, what do you guys think? Oh yeah, somebody died. Somebody died. And I was told that the city of Dallas conspired for Errol to get away with it. I'm talking about as far as police commissioners, Jerry Jones. Yeah, I'm hearing it goes that deep. This is all allegedly, though. I'm in Philadelphia. This is all allegedly. But what do you guys think? Hey, Dom, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in to Cultural Accountability. Big exclusive. You back there, bro? Oh, and the phone lines are now open. Feel free to call in.
What's up?
What's going on, bro? How you feeling?
I'm doing pretty good tonight, man. How you?
I'm well. I'm well. It feels good to be back on air.
First of all, welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank you,
Cultural
sir.
accountability. Cultural accountability.
Cultural accountability, man. It's time to start holding the culture accountable, bro.
All right. So uh, when you first bought the idea, hey, Concrete Rose, Reek, Dime. Shout out to everybody tuned in. Shout out to all the Ghost Watchers too. You wouldn't believe how many people just in the
For
background
sure, for
Ghost
sure.
Watch who won't show no love. Just say hi. You don't have to be behind the scenes Ghost watching. Um,
Right, you can put
but with that
graffiti
being
over here.
said, can we do a little housekeeping before we get into it?
Oh, for
Number
sure.
one, number one, welcome back on air. Pilot episode. Like you said, we got some kinks to work out. Um, Working on the intro as well. It's good to have you back. I'm excited about the cultural accountability. So I wanted to dive into that a little bit, right? You say it's time to hold the culture accountable. Now,
Yes,
when
sir.
you talk about holding the culture accountable, in what way are we holding the culture accountable?
In the way of, we're going to talk about some things that we typically don't talk about. We typically mind our business about. Um, and we gotta stop the bullshit. You dig what I'm saying? A lot of things we sweep under the rug. A lot of things we won't mention, we won't bring up in order to fit our narrative. And to be honest with you, I feel like in order for our culture to be successful again, we got to start being honest with each other.
Okay, so what does that look like? What is cultural accountability from the standpoint of this show looks like? Like we got to stop lying to each
Cultural
other.
accountability from the standpoint of the show is we're having the conversations, and we're not changing. That's my goal. But overall, we're sharing different points of views. You dig what I'm saying? Because it's a mindset thing, in my opinion, on why we are where we are as a culture. Do we have successful people in our culture? Yes, we do. But as a whole, we worried about the wrong things. You dig what I'm saying? And someone may say that this topic is the wrong thing, but the mindset of the people involved is the thing that I'm trying to attack. Because as a culture, this is how we are, this is how we think. And it shouldn't be this way.
Okay.
Frozen, you and
So,
me.
so now, with that being said, the objective is to have those kind of conversations and to hopefully take them out to our peers and the people that's close to us with the hopes that it'll spread throughout. Now, I heard you say the whole snitching thing. We don't snitch to police, we snitch to our elders. Things are a little bit different, and the Amish live a little bit different. Um, how can we make that a reality?
What I meant as far as the whole no snitching thing, as far as snitching to your elders, let's take just a neighborhood, right? Everybody around in said neighborhood has at least one person that can get to them. And what I mean by get to them is they can get them to actually sit and listen to what they have to say. A lot of the people that have that power over the monsters don't exercise that power. You dig what I'm saying? And that's a part of holding the culture accountable. If somebody's doing wrong, whether it's affecting you or not, you may be that person that can get to them. You dig what I'm saying? Now, we go to the whole no snitching thing. A lot of people know such and such shot such and such, and they won't tell nobody. Psychologically, the person that pulled the trigger, they get a little bolder. That's how you start getting more bodies and more bodies. So they ain't gonna say nothing. Ain't nobody gonna say nothing. And that's how, in my opinion, we create some of these monsters. Now, I'm not here to say people do or don't deserve to die. I do understand why some people become unalive. I do understand that. But at the same time, some people don't have any type of concern for life, and they think they can just go out here and unalive someone because they're having a bad day or because they don't like what said person said. And the only way to change that is to start holding the culture accountable, because we got to gain control of our emotions. We got to gain control of our communication amongst each other. We got to gain control of our economics. We got to gain control of our money. And the only way for us to do that is to start holding each other accountable. Not in a way of you ain't shit. You need to, you, nah, because like I said earlier in the podcast, most people when doing wrong, they don't believe that they're doing wrong. Why don't they believe they're doing wrong? Because most people are doing what they know. Now, is it some people that's blatantly out here that just go off and do wrong things? Yes. Those people, send them to the people. Send them to the people. But I feel like a lot of things we can handle within the culture, but a lot of people just have to start speaking up and holding the ones that you know is out here accountable. Fine example, these kids. When we had the thing with the whole flash mob thing and all that, although I couldn't prove it, I felt in my heart that a lot of people on my timeline that was criticizing these kids knew these kids. They may not knew that particular child was involved. Why? Because of the no snitch policy. You dig what I'm saying? Things like that, that's not cool. That's not cool. So the parents need to be held accountable for that. They need to be brought to the front of the congregation for things like that. We need to start holding each other accountable because a lot of us know what's going on out here. And because it's not affecting us, we don't speak on it. And that's not cool.
So, speaking of some real life scenarios, because I heard somebody in the comments say, or you brought it up, Charleston White, and you just said about the doing away with the no snitching policy. Now, some real world examples that I'm gonna give you, along with some of my concerns, and trying to figure out, because what I'm looking for is a baseline of where we are, but then kind of like every movement, every change starts somewhere, and they have procedures in place on how to handle it. Just like a company would have standard operating procedures.
Mm-hmm.
So 15-year-old goes out, shoots and kill another 15-year-old. All right. The OG in the neighborhood, I don't believe they have any, because first of all, I don't believe the OGs exist anymore. Right. I don't think there's a guy that's like 24, 25 that could talk to that 15-year-old that would make it make sense. Because from what I've been seeing on the research that I do, and it's only limited to those Philly Reddit pages, No Gun Zone, STV Philly. Like I've watched a lot of stuff about the gangs. I'm speaking specifically to Philadelphia that goes on, right? And I'm watching, there's never like no OG around that's, because the OGs never got to grow up to be OGs. They doing life, but doing a drill, or they was also killed. And I believe the people that are in position to say something to them and say something, they don't get through. So how do we handle that when it's that young, when it's 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds killing each other, as far as like the protocol and the accountability for that?
All right, so I'm gonna get to the answer, but I have to get to the answer through questions. That's cool.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm gonna use you as an example. I know you don't have any boys, but I'm using you as a man as an example. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, hypothetically speaking, that you did have a son. Would your son be able to just walk up in the house 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night? I'm talking
No,
about under the age of 15.
no. Yeah, under the age of
Would you be
18.
able to?
No, ain't no,
Would,
you don't get to make no rules in my house.
would you be able to ride down Baltimore Avenue, Woodland Avenue, whatever, major avenue is out your way, and see your son standing outside a Chinese store with about 7, 8 of his friends and just ride by him and go home? Would you be able to do that?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. Now, that's from a parental standpoint, right? Now, let's take your closest homie or family member. Matter of fact, let's use a family member. Now, put a nephew or a second cousin in the same situation. Our culture will just look at nephew or cousin and then talk about nephew or cousin and talk about nephew or cousin's mom, mother or father or guardian versus reaching out to the guardian and, yo, your boy down such and such, such and such. You dig what I'm saying? It's stuff like that we stopped doing, that I feel like, as Concrete Rose posted, is a snowball effect that helps curve a lot of what's going on. I agree with you 100%. A lot of the OGs aren't around. Some of them shot themselves in the foot. Some of them got caught up in the trap. You know what I mean? But it's enough of us that's sane and know what's going on out here. But we're stuck on this, I'm going to mind my business, or don't you say nothing to my child. That's old now. We see that that's not working at all. We see it's not
I
working.
agree 1,000%.
So what?
I agree 1,000% with that
So it's many different ways that I feel like we can hold the culture accountable, but it has to be across the board, and it can't be met with resistance. You dig what I'm saying? Somehow, some way, the culture has to clean their heart, man, amongst each other. You dig what I'm saying? Like, we got to get rid of a lot of the underlying things that people are trying to pull on each other. Because I'll give you a find I used this before, but it definitely paints the picture for me. RIP your mom. Did she ever tell you if somebody hit you to hit them back?
Yes.
Has anyone ever hit you that didn't look like you?
No. No.
You get what I'm saying? A lot of this is within the culture. You dig what I'm saying? Now, if somebody hit them back, that's a survival thing. That's eventually where we got to, because the teachers wasn't doing nothing. We tell this person, we tell that person, they're not doing anything. You dig what I'm saying? So eventually, what your parents tell you to do. Well, if such and such do this, you hit them back, and if this you and this, then that's when I'll come in and handle it. We got to find a way to reverse things to where such and such is not going to hit you, all
It's
because they
it's
lost
it's funny.
words, or they dislike. Go
I'm
ahead,
gonna
I'm
give
listening.
you there was this video that's gone viral on social media. Um and this is an extreme example of what you're
Go ahead, what
talking
you say,
about.
bro?
This is not the everyday norm. This is the extreme example. But it's this viral video of a young man who was at like the back of this guy's house. He was like casing it, and he had a gun in his hand. And the dude came out with, I can't remember if it was a shotgun or AR-15, something, but he had a bigger gun. And his message to the young man was like, listen, I don't know what you got going on, but this ain't the way to go about it. You need money, we can come in, we can talk about it. What's going on in your life that got you feeling like this is your only option? Come in, we can talk about it. And when I say I've never, Like you talking about restoration in the human, in human hope and faith, and believing in people. You couldn't have paid. Like I thought shit like that only happened in movies and in Hollywood. But to have enough patience and empathy with a young man that's got a gun in his hand pointed at you to say, hey, whatever you got going on, this is not the way.
Mm-hmm.
That man had the mental fortitude and the courage to try to help that young man. That was like beyond like my wildest expectation of what I was watching about to happen. And I was just so I
Now
was
I
just
seen
so
that video.
proud of the way I handled that shit.
I seen that video, and I have a question for you. Where do you think things were done differently versus any other situation like that?
Well, number one, most people would have shot first. Okay. It wouldn't have been no questions asked. I'm not sure what that man's mindset was, but most people would have shot first. That man was in the back of your house. He was casing the joint. He was trying to break in, and you come with a gun. You had every right. He was well within his legal right at that to execute that young man right then and there. But I don't know what was on that man's heart and in that man's spirit and how that man was raised
Right.
that would have him think that, yo, talking to this young man is the way. Like executing another young black man won't help the situation. Like, who knows what that young man will go on to do with his life? But that man spared his life, and his life might have been spared as well because that young man decided to accept that help. And I think the biggest thing he did that put that young man at his ease was number one, he invited him in. He said, you can come in, we could talk about it, but you got to put your weapon down. I'm going to put mine down. Come into my home. It's something about inviting somebody into your home, right? It's not about, at that point, it's not about like you just inherently get so much trust once you invite somebody to cross that threshold of your home. Because think about it. Who invites a complete stranger into their house? It's just not, it's something that's not done anymore. If people want to feed people, they don't invite them in their house anymore to feed them. They'll bring you a
That's what
plate to
made
the
a lot of
door.
people think it was.
Say that again.
I said that's what made a lot of people think it was a skit.
Yeah, no. So for me, I think there are some mitigating factors that I personally don't understand, but I'm extremely proud of that brother and that young man for being able to, number one, walk away from that situation alive and not have another dead black person because of gun violence. Two, I salute that man for having the patience, the understanding, and the empathy. And I believe if you was able to dig in his story, he would probably be one of those ones that tell you, I was there 15, 20 years ago. But I just wanted to bring that up
And
because it's
I'm
an extreme example of what you're talking about, because I agree with you. A lot of people think those antiquated ideas of a village is old and doesn't work. But we've seen how we flourished, how the kids flourished, how we learned to love on each other when the village, my next door neighbors, the neighbors from across the street, was able to not only check us, but chastise us, understanding that it takes a village. My mom trusted them to love me enough and respect her even more to not fucking try to kill me, but to understand that discipline was needed in those moments. And it wasn't all the time. It wasn't, nobody took advantage of the fact that they could do that to you. I think, like you said, bringing it back to the village mentality, you can't see one of your kin and be like, go talking about your kin to nobody else. It's like, each one teach one. You're supposed to help them understanding and knowing that situation ain't a good look. And nothing good ever happens from hanging out on the corners, Chinese store, poppy stores, or anywhere in large groups of numbers, especially if you're black. You being by yourself and being black, you already looked at as an apex predator. You're already dangerous. But if it's a pack of y'all, you look like a pack of wolves. And everybody at
Yep.
that point, whether it's true or false, feels like a sheep. And nobody wants to feel like a sheep.
Now back to that topic that you just brought up. I'm glad you brought it up because it actually, after I get to talk about it, it gives a good segue back to what we was talking about originally. Um, the way I seen it was like you said also at the end. He used to be in that life. You dig what I'm saying? And we all know the eyes tell it all. We all know those of us that have been in the streets. If you're doing B&Es, you really don't want to shoot nobody. When you're carrying a gun, it's more so for your protection. You know what I mean? You really don't want to shoot it. You anybody you know out here that's doing B&Es, ask them how many times they shot someone. Chances are never, because the shooters don't do B&Es, and for you to know that, you had to be of that. And I feel like that was more so the approach. He let him know, listen, I could do you too, but that's not what I'm on. I see what you on. You don't got to go down that route. Like you was just saying, we got to have the courage to do that, bro. And don't
Yeah.
get me, I'm not saying it's easy. It's not easy. I know it's scary. I'm gonna share something personal with y'all. I shared it with some of you before, but the first time I looked down the barrel of a gun and seen the bullet in the chamber, my mother was on the other side of it. So having that happen, I feel like I could talk to anybody on the other side. I also know that the person on the other side can blow my brains out. But at the same time, going through that at a young age gave me the courage to not really fear firearms. That could have went two different ways. I know everybody didn't have those experiences. I know everybody don't look at firearms the same way. But the ones out here who do, we gotta something. I want to get to these comments you got highlighted here. It's so hard. And then sister was murdered as a result. That pain still haunts me today. Even when trying to ask a mom to get her child to stop bullying another kid causes ruckus because many don't want to hear anything, good or bad. Was it law enforcement, or, or did you speak up to whoever has the power in said neighborhood? And I'm sorry to is holding people accountable. The mom who feels some type of way that they're being told that their child is a bully, her sister needs to hold her accountable. Her brother needs to hold her accountable. Her best friend needs to hold her accountable. This is what I'm talking about as far as the chain effect. There's somebody that can get through to you. It might not be me, but that person can. You might not can't get to me, but this person can. And we got to take advantage of that and start fixing this. We got to stop being on the I'm minding my business. They don't got nothing. It has everything to do with you.
See,
It has
and
everything to do with you. Remember when dudes was
if
selling
I can interject one thing,
gas off the gas cards and all that, and the culture ate it right on up. But
I,
I'm sorry, what you say?
I just want to, since we talking cultural accountability, I'm gonna need parents to stop doing this. Stop thinking that it's cute or funny that your child is bad, right? And truly understand what bad is. Don't wear a badge of honor because your child is bad, or they play too much. Like those, when you speak like that, number one, about your child, that tells me something about you. I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's cute that you claim kids are bad. Never. And I don't want to hear
Bad
that
kids
shit,
come from some sort of
kids
neglect.
or just being kids. And no, one of the things that I'm super proud of is when my daughters are in the presence of other adults that when we leave, those adults speak to the presence of my kids and how they were and how they are and how they act. Because it's not cute. I don't care if the kid is a terrible too. Don't encourage behavior. When you think it's funny, like, oh, my baby bad as hell, and that's not funny. That's not cute. Because you add some type of reverence to that type of behavior, which escalates and carries over the older they get. So when you talk about, and I'm saying parents, I didn't say single moms, I didn't say single dads, I said parents across the board. Don't encourage that type of behavior, okay? Because at the end of the day, it escalates, it evolves, and they're going to keep towing that line. They're going to keep trying to figure out where the line is so that they can cross it before they actually face any discipline. And one thing that my mom taught me was that the household is a microcosm of society. Just like there's rules and regulations in society, it should be rules and regulations in your house. You don't feed or reward unsavory behavior, ever. Because when those kids get older and y'all start talking about them 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old that we was talking about, that y'all can't tell nothing or that y'all scared of, look back at the behavior that you accepted and you allowed and you thought was funny and you thought it was cute when you was talking to your friends. That's where it comes from. So stop encouraging that type of behavior. That's some cultural accountability for your ass. Go ahead.
And one thing you said was you was addressing the parents. I'm glad you put emphasis on that because as a culture, what we do is when somebody makes a statement like yours, the first thing we try to do is put it on the opposite sex as far as parenting. It's all our fault. It's everyone's fault. At some point along the line, we've all contributed to this. You dig what I'm saying? This is very similar to having the mentality of if you see trash on the floor in your house, do you not pick it up because you didn't put it there? You know what I mean? Like we're all responsible. So,
Bro, you know how many ass whoopings I
great
got
point
for my
by
sister's
addressing.
chores not being done? For their chores not being done, not mine's. For their chores not being done. Speaks to how,
And a
it
lot
was.
a lot of us a lot of us share those experiences, which is why I don't get how I'm gonna say the generation from 1969 to 1990, that whole group right there that are now parents are afraid of the kids. I don't get it. I don't get it. Not everyone. I'm not saying everyone, but
See,
majority. We
I
went
get
through
it.
this and we all share these experiences, yet we are afraid of the kids. Go ahead, I'm listening, bro.
No, I'm saying I get it, but I don't think I think it's that I think the age bracket. Let me see. I was born in. Let me make my kids. I would say it's closer to the 90 parents, right? Mm, either way you slice it, I
Really?
see why they're scared
No,
of
I
kids.
think 69 to 89 is good.
Okay, so what I'm saying is I can see why because there were a lot of Eastern European ideas introduced into our community for the sake of being a part of something or trying this new age way of raising kids that didn't really apply to our community because we weren't growing up in the same circumstances. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of those Eastern
Mm-hmm.
Europeans or those Caucasians, clear people, had a little more means than
Mm-hmm.
we had, right? So time out and stripping kids and stuff, and not disciplining the kids physically, those were their ideas. Our community tried to adopt those ideas, and no matter what generation you grew up in, boys and girls at some point in their life did what? They tested their parents. And if when they tested their parents, there was no legitimate consequences to that, they thought they could get away with murder, and they did. And when you see the lack of discipline, and I hear people, I hear their arguments for why discipline doesn't work, but I just think it's not. I don't think it's true. I'm a firm believer in discipline. I'm a firm believer in ass whoopings. I'm a firm believer in education, and education ain't never a punishment in my house. But at the same time, we gonna read together, and I think it's important that education and discipline go hand in hand. A lot of people don't make that link, but education and discipline go hand in hand. What do you do with the knowledge that you have if you don't have the discipline to make that shit make you a complete person or rich or independent, or know how to yield that power if you don't have the discipline?
I agree with everything that you just was saying as far as why the generation is afraid of the kids. But that actually points out what we're doing here. Every time we have a conversation about one thing and find a way to reverse it or fix it, it's going to lead us to another thing to reverse or fix. You dig what I'm saying? And what you said was a lot of our people try to adopt that. Now, here's where we hold our people accountable. When has how other cultures do it worked for us outside of what they took from us and started duplicating?
Never.
So, with that being said, why are we still trying as a culture? You dig what I'm saying? It hasn't worked. And this is something that hasn't worked, I'm going to say 30 to 50 years. The way that we're saying, oh, we can't do it like this, worked all the years before that. When are we going to give up this new way and get back to our way? You know, we empower the system by partaking in the system, DHS, all of that. We empower that. The fact that our kids threaten to call DHS on you, do you think that's your bad or their bad? Do you think that has everything to do with? Now, do you think that has anything to do with the things you've allowed them to have access to throughout the time that you were parenting them to that point? For them to even develop that mindset that if my mom or dad does this, I'm going to just call. There's still a point to hold the culture accountable. And these are the things that we have to fix. We have to have the courage to do it as a whole. We have to have the courage to have other people from the culture talk bad about you, because that's what they're going to do. That's how it is when you start going against the grain. Until everybody start catching on to it, you get talked about. Most of us grew up in a Christian household. It's the story of Jesus. When he was walking, spreading the word and saying what was right, they talked about him, they stoned him, they fleed him, they shunned him, and he had 12 disciples that decided to follow him. You dig what I'm saying? It's the way things go. But as a culture, we got here, we can get back to where we was. We got to stop wanting to be a part of everything. If you think back, the last time we were successful, it was when nobody wanted no parts to do with us as a culture.
And we was left
Go on, niggas. Go on and do your own thing, niggas.
Yep, we was left
You
alone,
stupid. Yeah,
segregated.
you're 3/5 of a human. You're stupid. You're knuckle draggers. All that. When we was all those things, we prospered, and everybody wanted to be down with us. They came in and started wrecking our stuff and started convincing us to join what they had going on. It's the same thing going on today. A lot of our people are trying to get in and be a part of the system. That system isn't for us. We need to have a whole different system. I'm all for it, but at the same, I'm all for us being leaders, holding seats in Congress and stuff like that. But you notice they only let us get but so far. They'll throw us a bone here and there, but they only let us get but so far. I have a cousin who's sitting high in the city right now, but a lot of things is out of her power. That's what we don't realize as a culture. You think, well, once we get in there, we can just change this and change. No, you can't. No, you can't. Look how many times we done had black mayors and stuff, and they told us they was going to change this and change that,
So
and they ain't
so,
changed nothing. They changed what they
but
were allowed to change.
it's possible. See, I think where we miss the
It's
point
possible.
when it comes to that, I think where we miss the point is that we got to get those legislative seats. And the only way to effectively change, because I've been saying for a long time, when are we going to wake up and realize they whooping our ass with the pen? And brute force isn't going to work. As long as they have the power to whoop our ass with the pen, you see what's going on down in Florida. Okay? As long as they have the power to keep whooping our ass with the pen, we're going to have to play the game a different way. But the only way to truly play the game is to actually truly play the game and not half-ass, not 1 foot in, 1 foot out. We got to get our people elected into these positions where they can actually change laws. We got to get enough people in the legislative to actually give reparations or anything or change the laws,
That's
period.
where
I
I
just think
disagree with
that,
you, bro.
okay.
That's where I disagree with you. The reason why I disagree with you there is because you got a lot of these old motherfuckers that's holding on to these seats so that can't happen. That's what I mean by we got to have a whole nother system because they're manipulating certain things to not allow that to happen. The ones of us that's in these in mayors, seats of Congress and stuff like that, they are powerless, bro. And it's because of these motherfuckers that been in there for 20, 30 years. You know what I mean? Um, People like Joe Biden before he was the president. You know what I mean? Been holding these seats since a lot of the people that want to fill these seats before they were even born. You know what I mean? And it's nothing we really can do about that until those people die off. I agree with what you're saying as far as changing the laws and stuff like that, but we got to also take into consideration there's a force working against allowing us to do that.
So okay, I agree with you on that. But at some point, don't we have to prepare for the fact or the inevitability that they're going to be out of those seats, they're going to die out of those seats, or they still have to get elected every so many years. They can keep running, but the only way to
And
change it is from the inside out. You can change term laws, but you only can do that from the inside out. So why not, while we're working towards that system that you speak of, be prepared for when it's time, when those people are
how long do you
gone
think
from
that's going to be, bro? How long
it
do you
doesn't
think that's
matter.
going to be?
It doesn't matter. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. As long as we keep
So,
going,
so what I'm
taking
saying
each
is,
step forward, it doesn't matter when it happens. It's got to
what I'm
happen
saying
at some
is,
point.
as a culture, we got to start taking control of some things. Now,
I,
in that
I
same
agree.
scenario, what I think we can do is every time it comes time to elect and vote and stuff like that, our culture, the main culture, talking about how they know the vote don't count. how they know about the electoral college and all that, yet they still partake in it. If as a whole we don't partake in it, trust me, that system will collapse.
It
But we
wouldn't
have
pop.
to be
That
on
would
the
be way
same page
worse than
as a
not
culture.
participating, bro. That would be
You said
way
it
worse.
wouldn't?
It would be way worse if we didn't participate at all.
I think if we didn't participate at all, then a lot of things would get revamped. A lot of things would get changed.
It wouldn't. It would get worse. A hell of a lot worse. Because at that point, you know what you've said at that point? We've given up on this government without any plan to create, or have started our own government and or infrastructure in some sort of land or another that they don't control. Because as long as they control the laws, bro, that's going to make it a hell of a lot worse. They would
Question for you.
love for us not to vote at all. You ask Georgia, Florida, California, Illinois, you ask all those states, Texas.
Question
Go ahead.
question for you. Did we have a government before 1776?
We had a premature outline of a government, but it was
No.
secret. It was underground. It was being put together. What would happen when we gained the independence from the British? But it was a framework in place.
We had a government already in place. We had a government already in place.
Yeah, but
And
it
the
was
goal was to get all the swarthy people. The goal was to get all the swarthy people out of the important spots so we can get to where that's where those not we into a good we getting a little way off topic, but that's where the whole story about some of y'all may have heard of it, and it's true. Us having three black presidents before Barack Obama, they only teach us from the point of where they took over. You dig what I'm saying? Not saying that you were implicating this, but this is just for the people that's watching. Right? We are not stupid as a culture. And this government was created by the government we already had in place. It wasn't as segregated as in place now is for the corporation of the United States of America. We were already rolling before then. So this system is not for us. It never was, it never will be. But it leads me to this. Texas, a lot of people, especially people that's from Texas, they say Texas, even though it's a part of the United States, it ain't the United States. And bringing it back to the topic, for something like this to be able to happen, I feel like a lot of people in Texas are on the same page. Now, I'm not saying good or bad, just hear me out. A lot of people in Texas are on the same page. Allegedly, everybody thought Mo3 had to go. Allegedly, everybody, as a city, Dallas, said Mo3 had to go, especially after the whole situation with Errol Spence, him chasing Errol Spence. That right there, it feeds very much into the conversation we just was talking about as far as accountability. And that's why I want to use these topics to speak on that. Because what I was saying earlier, a lot of us know the monsters out here. Now, I'm not saying we are the ones to judge who lives and who dies. But let's take it to nature. Let's take it to nature for a little bit. I'm gonna use wolves as an example because wolves are a little more lenient to having males a part of the pack versus other animals in nature. But did you know that if you decide to go off and do your own thing amongst the pack, not leaving the pack and going off and doing your own thing, I'm talking about amongst the pack, you just doing what you want to do.
Right.
Look, you will get rolled on by the pack, not even by the leader. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
We have to get back to simple things that work. A lot of the stuff that we got going on is made up and is excuses. It's excuses for people to not be held accountable because they feel it's going to get hurt or they're going to get embarrassed or something like that. I lost a cousin back in 2010. I heard plenty of stories of how it happened. Me knowing who he was, there was one particular story that I believed to be the truth. Do I know it was the truth? No, I don't. But I believed it to be the truth. Why? Because I know my cousin.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I know my cousin. Now, where I'm getting at with that is, had I known these things were going on, I would have talked to him. Why? Because I felt like I was the one that empowered him. I was big brother. I taught him how to fight. I taught him how to play football. I taught him that a lot of people say things that they really ain't about. And when he found out for himself, he turned into a monster. We were living two separate lives because I was now in my 20s. You get what I'm saying? Like he's now in his 20s. We started growing and doing our own thing. But had I known he was out here being the person that I was told, I would have talked to him. Where I'm getting at is there was plenty of people around him that knew that was going on and didn't talk to him. We gotta have these conversations, or else it could be your nephew, your cousin. We see Gilly just recently, and him and Wallow speak against that all the time.
Yeah.
What was the
Insistent.
first thing the culture did? What was the first thing the culture did? Why was his son in the hood?
Why was
They
he?
just got
Yeah.
$100 million.
Yeah.
Really? His son was
Forgetting
what,
that that
25
man
years old?
was a grown ass man.
25 years old, 26 years old, own car, own residence, own money. Gilly, 46, 47 years old. Why not applaud that man for being there for his son and getting him to adulthood? That right there is something to be applauded
Making
in
sure he had a way
itself.
and making sure he had a way to make a living so he could afford his own.
Why not applaud that man for that? But instead, we counting another man's pockets.
Right.
When most of the people that was commenting on that, kids, they don't even know where they're at right now. Kid won't even answer the phone for him. But got something to say about that.
Facts.
This is what this show is going to be about, people. We're going to have those conversations. I'm going to say those things. Some people are not going to like me. And I feel like you're not going to like me because you're guilty.
Yep. Yep.
Let's read some more of these comments. Miss Cargill said, when we change the law, hold on, we got to go up higher than that. I'm sorry. Hell no. I'm a single mother and my boys know better. I worked for DCF. I'm assuming that that's Child Protective Services where you're from. And I'll still put a foot in my kids' ass if they try me. You can't go to jail for whooping your kids. Abusing them is another story. That's a whole nother topic, but I agree with you, Miss Cargill. Let's see what else we got here. Excuse me. When we change the laws, will that fix the distinction in our community? Will that stop? Elaborate on that. What you mean distinctions? Elaborate on that. The killing in thug life. We have to start by cleaning up our shit. Now,
So
I want to address that real quick.
go ahead.
All cultures kill each other.
Thank you. Like proximity. Proximity.
All cultures kill each other. Once again, I'm trying to attack the mindset. I've been next to little things that turned into shootings. Little things that turned into shootings. And now that I'm older and I'm more aware and I have more intellect, I realize it's simple. The fix is simple, but we all have to acknowledge it. You brought up a story about the guy with the dude with the B&E. And the simple thing that I feel like he did was he communicated with that young man. He didn't try to match or supersede his energy, which does what? Make you feel like you gotta stand your ground. He didn't drive it to that point. He related to him. And that's what we gotta do. We gotta learn how to communicate. We gotta learn how to relate. We gotta learn how to have some empathy. And we gotta stop taking things so personal. We gotta stop taking things so personal. Simple as that. But I agree with cleaning it up. We definitely got to clean up the killings in the thug life because all in all, a lot of it is unnecessary. It's unnecessary bloodshed going on out here.
And I
This
will
is why
say,
the Federal Reserve. I'm sorry.
no, I just wanted to address that comment. When we change the laws, will that fix our distinction in our communities? And the killing in thug life, we need to start by cleaning that up. I agree, but let me just address some of the situations and some of the killings that are happening in these neighborhoods have very, very systemic issues. And I'm not going to go too deep because I know I want to get through the rest of the comments with Pop. It's 9:10. But if we are allowed to change the laws, there wouldn't be such a wealth gap, an education gap, universal health care, and last but not least, we would have laws in place that I felt like as a community we would benefit from because we wouldn't have redlining. It would be easier access to funds for people who look like us, and we would have the people in a position of power that can actually do something about the way that we are policed. So it would most certainly help with a lot of systemic issues that make these kids feel like they have to pick up a gun to be seen, to be heard, or to make money. It'll stop a lot of those issues. Not 100% stop. No, don't misunderstand me. But it would most certainly curb a lot of the stuff that we deal with in our community because we will be helping with a lot of the systemic issues.
Let's see. This is why the Federal Reserve Act should be abolished. It took over the old Constitution and made us a corporation. But Ms. Hines, if you know the Constitution, people. If you're well versed in the Constitution will save you when you get around those people. Fine example. Anytime a cop acts unlawful in my presence, I bring up the fact that when you signed your oath to become a police officer, the first thing it says for you to uphold is the Constitution. Before any law. The first thing they are to uphold is the Constitution.
Let me say this
we got here.
Since you brought it up.
Yeah.
Cops are not your friends. They're not there to help you in any way. Or let me say this. They can't help you legally. So anytime, first of all, a cop, in order for you to even give them your ID, they have to have reasonable, articulable suspicion that you've committed a crime, about to commit a crime, or have already committed a crime. Okay? You don't have to give them any ID. Okay? That's first and foremost. Your Fifth Amendment right. You have the right to remain silent. Exercise that right each and every single fucking time. If you are being detained or if they're impeding your process, you ask them, am I being detained? If you are not being detained, you're free to go just as well as you're free to stay. Okay? If you are being detained, they need to be able to articulate a reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime. And if they tell you we're investigating a crime or we got a call, remember two things. They need to be able to articulate a crime to you and have some sort of proof, or ask for a supervisor. And the last thing is remain fucking silent. Don't answer no questions, because a lot of us will entrap ourselves. Okay? We will entrap ourselves. Don't do it. I'm sorry, Pop, continue.
No, it's all good. I got a question for you though. So we can wrap it up. Home stretch right here. Did Errol put the bread up?
Here's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna reiterate what you've been saying. We in PA. We're not in Dallas. But from what I understand, I got Charleston White being a lot of things. A liar ain't one of them. Okay? That's just from what I've seen from him. I haven't seen anybody make a video calling him out saying he lied about this, he lied about that. I haven't seen those videos. Maybe they exist. Send me the link. I'd love to watch it. But from what I know of this man and the influence and the network that he has set up in Dallas, he know what he talking about. I don't know if Earl put up the 100, but what I will say is I don't got Charleston White lying. That's what I will say.
What about you guys in the comments? What do you feel? What do you feel? Do you feel Charleston White is telling the truth, or do you feel Charleston White is lying? And while you guys type that, I'm gonna make this last address, because it's a lot of people out here that say that they're doing it for the culture. It's a lot of people out here that say they're doing it for the culture, and different people have different angles, different things they want to attack, different people that they want to hold accountable. The main group of people within the culture that I am going after are the ones who get the money and leave. I feel like that is a big part of why we don't get it together as a culture. By all means, it's your money. You do what you want to do with your money. But it's amazing how everybody be for the culture when they broke. Soon as they get some money, they only worry about their family. Let's take Errol Spence, for example. Let's say he did put up that $100,000. If he wasn't in fear of his life that this man was going to do something to him, what would he have done with that 100 grand? I don't know if he gives back to the community or not. I'm just speaking hypothetically and based off of what we know from our hood. What would he have done with that 100 grand? I'm sure schools that need uniforms. I'm sure it's teams that need jerseys. I'm sure it's shelters that need things. I'm sure it's and on and on and on. But what our people do is we figure it out and then we be gone. Nobody else does that. No other culture does that. If they leave, they try to bring everyone else with them. That's not working out too good for us, is it? Why? Because the people we trying to bring with us ain't right. We got to fix home first. We got to fix home first. We got to stop getting this little bit of money and leaving. A lot of us is dying with this money. That's who I'm going after. Welcome back.
I wanted you to. I felt like that was an important message, and I didn't want to be here to distract or interrupt from that. But I couldn't disagree more. I couldn't disagree more. I get that check. I'm getting the fuck out of here. There are ways. Just being honest. Get the fuck out of here. And I'm gonna tell you.
He said, "Fuck you, Africans. I'm out."
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, what I realized, and the precedence that has been set is that once you make it, you become a target, right? And we've seen examples of people making it, having the money, and not leaving, and they end up dead. FGB Duck, Nipsey Hussle, Mo3, a list of other people who didn't get out.
Let's break that down.
I do this. I help as much as I can in my community now. My mindset isn't going to change because I have more money. Mm-hmm. The only thing I'm going to be allowed to do is be able to do more. But I don't have to live in this community to be able to do it. What I can do is get with like-minded people. And now that I have the money and the influence, to get them to invest in me in a vision to make where I come from better.
Let's dive into that a little bit.
Go for it.
Because I like what you said. I was hoping somebody gave me that rebuttal. Because I agree to an extent. Those people that you use as an example aren't the people I'm talking about.
Okay.
Those people that you use as an example, in my opinion, got thrown a bone and was almost there, but didn't quite get there. What I mean by got thrown a bone, the higher ups knew, well, we give them a little bit of money or let them through, gatekeepers, however you want to put it, then that's going to simmer that down. I got a question for you. When you get said money, right? Are you going to be walking around with $90,000 worth of jewelry on?
No. Nope.
When you get said money, are you going to grab the Lamborghini truck and slide through West Philly with the windows down and the music blasting and park up on the block so everybody can see you?
No. No.
When you get said money, are you going to belittle your culture, be it verbally or through your flamboyance?
It's just not in my nature. Ain't nothing about me flashy, like at all. So no.
In my opinion, those are the things that puts the target on those people's backs. Can you catch a stray? Yes, anybody could catch a stray. Could it be just your day? Yeah, it could just so happen to be your day. But as far as getting a target on your back, I feel like that mainly comes from na boo boo, I got it and you didn't. Not literally saying that, but in so many ways, that's the demeanor. You dig what I'm saying? And that creates envy. You know what I mean? Now, I'm going to use you as an example as far as who you are as a man and what you've done in your culture. Let's say you didn't leave. Let's say you did get that bag and you didn't leave. And you invested into that rec center and you invested into the rundown storefronts around there that been closed for God knows how long. You know what I'm saying? And you started bringing resources back to your small little part of West Philly. Those people won't let you get a target on your back.
I see where you're going. I see where
You
you're
get what I'm
going.
saying?
I see where you're going.
The people
Yeah.
won't allow you to get a target on your back. But if you came into said money and the first thing you did was put a pool outside on the sidewalk, flat screens all through the house, three $80,000 plus cars parked out front, the jewelry clinking all over the place. Oh, you're going to have a target on your back. You're not breaking bread. You rubbing it in our face. You know our ribs is touching. The ice cream truck come on the block. You buy your kids the tall ice cream. You don't buy the rest of the kids no ice cream. You get what I'm saying? I feel like the type of person that you are, that I am, that a lot of people that we associate ourselves with are. When we come into said money, the people won't allow us to have a target on our back from our people. I can't say other cultures won't try to go after the shepherd. You dig what I'm saying? But I feel like we've seen it plenty of times within the culture that when you break bread with the people, it's very rare that someone that looks like you comes for you.
I can definitely see that, because the people would insulate you from that shit because you are taking care of the community. But the reality of the situation is, bro, whether I'm flashy or not, if they know I got it, bro, it's just gonna be some niggas out there who just gonna try and come get it by any means necessary. By any means necessary. Now, here's what I will say. Here's what I will say is that ultimately the goal should be to not just feed them the fish, teach them how to fish, right? There's a lot of motherfuckers, man, that have questions for me. I don't think I ever charged nobody for no game. Like if I knew what it was and how to do it, I gave it away.
Mm-hmm.
I gave it away unsolicited sometimes for people who didn't even ask. Like, yo, listen, if you want to put together a merch shop and you don't have no money, this is what you do. If you want to put together a network, you don't have no money, no budget, this is what you do. If you want to put together a website, you don't have the budget, this is what you do. Because what I realized is, as much as I could be insulated by the community, it could be the same community that, while insulating me, could be robbing me blind or attempting to rob me blind. It's a huge trust
Unless you
issue
on the
when it
same
comes
page and
to
hold the culture accountable.
that's the shift in mindset that needs to happen. That's the shift in mindset that needs to happen, because
I want to
at the
address
end,
something. Miss Cargill
go
said,
ahead. What's that?
I'm sorry. Miss Cargill said, look at Young Dolph. He came in town to host something for his community and got killed. I feel like people should be able to wear whatever they want. It should inspire others. He gave back to his community a lot. Now, Miss Cargill, I don't know how much you know about that situation, but that situation was personal. It had nothing to do with jewelry. It had nothing to do with him
Yeah,
being flashy. That
that was
situation was
years in the making.
personal. Yeah, that was a real personal situation, and he just got caught lacking. That wasn't the first time that he got caught lacking. That was the first time that he
Right.
died. Go ahead, bro. What you saying though?
Nah, I was saying that situation was super personal and had been going on for years. Like that wasn't the first time, like you said, that they tried to take Dolph out. Now, I'm not from Memphis. I don't know the politics, but I see a lot on YouTube, and YouTube is not to be believed. Okay, I don't know the people who were speaking, but I feel like the overall picture that was painted was a very plausible picture that was painted by people who were close enough to paint the picture. I don't know if it's all true, and I accept it with a grain of salt. But coming from where I come from, having the experiences that I've had, and understanding street politics and the way that they work, the story is a very plausible story. Now, what we have to understand is a lot of the people, now that I think about it, a lot of people that I named who tried to stick around and stay were all part of a culture that was gang related. So just because you got money don't mean you can run from the gang. Don't mean those ops change because you got money. That don't mean because you got having money doesn't make you exempt from all the bullshit and stuff you did while you was operating in the streets broke and trying to come up. So that's what I will say. I don't operate in the gang unless you consider the network a gang, then it's BEN all day. I don't know who we beefing with or got ops with, but we be having fun.
I agree with you
I will
100%.
say this. If it's
and you know one thing, go ahead.
If it's one thing I will say right quick is whenever the money comes, because it is coming, whenever it comes, there's no such thing as I got the bag or Big Exclusive got the bag. That ain't how that works. Because if my mindset is always, if I got the bag, we all got the bag, or I'm gonna show you why I got the bag, how I got the bag, so you can get a bag, and I'm gonna front you the money or invest in you to go get the bag. So now, not only do I have the bag, now the whole team got the bag. So if any one of us ever take a fall, there's always somebody in the team to pick us up and put us back on track to make an even bigger and better bag. And last thing I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna let you speak, Pop. Group economics, group economics, group economics.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. That about wraps it up. Unless anybody has anything that they would like to add or say. Me and you have some things to still work on behind the scenes because I ain't get
Yes,
to use none of my buttons, man.
we definitely got to figure
Let
that
me
out
see. Does
because
this work? How about this?
maybe I
That
can't hear it. Maybe they can
part
hear it.
works. My voice sounds regular, or is it
I don't hear anything right
nothing happened, right?
now. No, we gonna figure it out
Yeah,
though.
see. None of this stuff. Yeah, man. I had background music, all that, man.
Yeah, I was excited
But yeah,
about it.
this has been Cultural Accountability Pilot Show. We're gonna work on some things, tweak some things, and we'll be coming up with a premiere date very, very, very soon. I'll meet you backstage, bro.
Yeah,
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Poppy Montega,
big exclusive.
Big Exclusive. We out of here.